Hey y'all, here's a nice little do-it-yourself sandblaster. If you've got any parts that you want to de-rust or get some paint off of, or just scuff them up, this little unit, now you're going to need an air compressor for it, but this little unit right here, to make this, didn't cost me $6. And the medium is pretty cheap. After I do a little demo here, I'll show you how to make this thing. But this is a real nice little unit. If you've got, this is just a gear I had setting out of a transmission. It's been sitting outside for probably 1.5 years now, so it's pretty rusted up. Just a piece of scrap metal, an old alternator bracket I had setting around, Coke can. Anyways, I'll do some sample on this. I've got the air pressure set about 50 psi. You can lower it, but it takes a little longer to do it. If you turn it up, it definitely takes it off quicker and you can get a lot more aggressive. You definitely want some gloves on, safety glasses. If you've got a full mask, a full face shield to put on, or possibly a bandana, because this stuff is going to blow up. Also do it outside. You can probably hear in the background I've got a fan, so that way all these particles don't drift themselves into my garage. But anyways, let's do a little play-in right here and see what this thing will do. All right, just a couple seconds on it, and we went from that to that. You notice it doesn't tear into the metal. If you use an abrasive material, it'll tear into it. So what I'm using is walnut shells I picked up at Harbor Freight. So real quick and easy way to clean up stuff. Let's see if I can do this a little closer. See if I can get this camera to zoom in for me here a bit. Apologize, I'm using a new camera for this project. So, oh, there's the zoom button. And we'll tip it down. There we go. So how's that? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Just for quick and easy. All right, let's zoom back out. And let's go over here and see what happens on some of this paint. All right, y'all didn't have to sit there for listen to my air compressor charge up. So we've got air again, and again I'm still running about 50 psi. This is that alternator bracket. Cleans it right up. All right, now let's look to how aggressive this stuff can actually get. So see, if you want to cut and get through something, you can, but if and let me weight that down a little bit, so that way I don't have to use several hands. There we go. And let the camera focus up. Again, I'm still at 50 psi. That's a little aggressive for it. So what I'm going to try and do is just take the paint off of that Coke can without affecting digging a hole into the aluminum. So I mean, this is just plain stuff. So let me pause this and turn my compressor down a little bit. All right, we're at 20 psi. Let's see what happens here. So 20 psi, we can go ahead. Oh, I was almost out of picture there, wasn't I? Here we go. We can go ahead and take and make it real gentle, like you're ever going to be doing that. Like I say, and if you turn it up, you could actually roughen up some aluminum or so forth. But the 50 psi works real good for cleaning stuff up. So we'll take a small break for our advertisers. Oh wait, I don't have any advertisers. So let's get right in on how to make this thing for y'all. And the whole shot going to cost you under 10 bucks to make this. So let's get right with it. Hey y'all, let's go ahead and get this thing built for y'all. So pieces you're going to need. I got this from Harbor Freight. It's just a 4-piece blowgun kit. $5 or less. I mean, really cheap, inexpensive. You know, it'll get the job done for you. Don't forget your safety glasses when you're using the blower and whenever you're doing any cutting or drilling. You'll need some sort of drill. The drill bit, you want the same size as the tube that you're going to be using. So measure your tube, get a drill bit the same size. I'm going to use this Danzig water bottle to make the one that y'all see, but you can do it from, you know, and again, bottle means plastic container. You can use Sprite, Dr. Pepper, root beer, it doesn't matter, whatever you get a plastic one. You could do it out of something like this. You could do it out of a milk carton, but remember, the more material you put in here, the heavier that thing's going to get. So if you're doing small projects, something like this is fine. You just, you know, refill it a little more often. It ain't that big a deal. And then lastly, this again from Harbor Freight. This is their crushed walnut shell. This is the fine. They make a fine and a coarse. Fine, just like fine sandpaper, takes a little longer to work with, but it's a little cheaper. You get the same weight, like 25 pounds, so it's just going to go for a friggin' ever. So material wise, what I had to buy was like under 30 bucks to build this. I already had the drill and whatnot. So let's get started. Alright, first thing we're going to do is you're going to take the small blowing tip out of the gun, and you're going to insert whichever tip you're going to use. Now if you're going to use a milk carton, you may want to use this longer one, but since I'm just going to use the smaller drinking bottle, I'm going to use this short one here. So take the original tip out, put the shorter tip or the medium sized tip in there, and snug it down just as if it's ready to run, and then mark the top of it. Okay, because what we're going to need to do is we're going to cut a notch in the top of this tube to draw the material into it and get it blowing out the tip. So what I'll end up doing is I'll use this little file, and I'm going to notch this down about halfway through, and I'll come back in a second, show you after that's done, and we'll move on to the next step. Alright, there you go. Now we've got this notched out. You can see just about halfway through there. Okay, got it mounted back up. So now the next thing we need to do is to get our hole in here. Now just take a pair of scissors or razor knife or something and remove this little locking tab that's on there. Okay, now where you're going to drill your hole is right in here. Alright, right between that strengthening ring and the cap. The reason you're going to do it there is because that's just a lot stronger than the other pieces. You get up in here and the plastic starts getting weak. Down here you've got a lot of strength on it, so drill it right between that cap and your top. So let me get that drilled and we'll be right back. Alright, well, we've got our hole drilled. I'm going to use this long one as a sample. Now see, it fits in there very snug, and you want excuse me, you want it to be snug so that way you're not blowing material out the side of these holes. If you're not sure if you've got the right bit, do some test drills either in another soda bottle, or what I did is I actually just used the plastic that this came in. If you can see, the first one I drilled, although I measured it, it fit. It was a perfect fit. but it just went in too easy. Okay, so I dropped down a couple of bit sizes, and it much snugger fit, and that's what you want. Okay, so make a test fit. Now also, since this is so cheap, this is throwaway, so if you tear this up, you can always just get you another one. Alright, so next step we're going to do is we're going to get some material in there, but first I'm going to go ahead and blow some air in this to get it dried out, just so I don't have it all clogging up in there. So we'll be right back. Alright, well, let's get some of this in here. First I want to show you the granules here. And you can see that, I mean, they're very, very fine, okay? But the nice thing about using walnut shells as opposed to a sand or some of the other oxide stuff is this is not going to attack your metal as hard. Now it'll give a little bit of pitting on like aluminum and so forth, but most of your metal it's just going to want to take off rust and paint and so on and so forth. So get out my high-tech funnel here. Yeah. We'll get this filled up. Now you notice that I'm just pouring it right into the water bottle here. You don't cut the bottom off. You'd think, oh well, you cut the bottom off, that way you can just keep refilling it as you're running along. Well, the problem with that is as soon as you turn on that air gun, that hole that you cut in the nozzle, well, it's going to want to blow out wherever it's got least or less resistance. So if you've got that, if you cut the bottom off of this, okay, and it's upside down, if this is cut off so you can refill it, as soon as you turn on that air nozzle, it's going to start blowing all your stuff up and out. So the only holes we're going to put in it were the ones that we drilled. Once you've got that about 3/4 of the way filled, stick your gun in here, and where your notch is, you want that right over about center. Okay, there you go. So it just sets like that. When you're ready to shoot, you turn it upside down and you're off and running. Now a couple of safety tips. Again, you want to use safety glasses. Also put you on some gloves, because if you're holding your material and then you run over and hit your fingers, it's going to do a little bit of damage. So hope that helps y'all. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. Good little shop hack. Y'all have a great day.